Let's talk about the show. Starcade here. Our hosts are Tony Schiavone and Bob Caudle, with Johnny Weaver conducting the interviews in Greensboro. And the first match is going to be for the vacant Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship. And I guess the story is that, somebody was owed some money by JCP, so they leave the territory and take the belt with him. Did you ever hear this story?
No, but I have no problem believing it.
Buzz Tyler, I believe, is the performer. We don't hear about Buzz very often. Do you got any good Buzz stories you can share with us?
No, I faintly remember Buzz. I remember he was a big, rugged guy, good worker, had a pretty good reputation across the country from, what I could tell, but he was gone before I really got settled in and got to spend much time around him.
Once he's out of here, we've got to crown a new champion. So this match is going to be between Sam Houston and your old pal, Krusher Khruschev. The finish is going to see Houston hit a few rights in the corner and then nails the bulldog. Houston covers Khruschev, but he gets his foot on the bottom rope, and Houston thinks he's won, but he's too busy celebrating to see that Khruschev is about to hit him with the Russian sickle, and Khruschev gets the pin and then the belt. And the replay shows that Houston had his foot on the bottom rope after two, which results in a feud for the next 2 months. Your pal Krusher Khruschev, we know, is going to go on to become Smash and Demolition, and then later the Repo Man, and of course Blacktop Bully in WCW, the real life Barry Darsow. Are you already fast friends with Barry here, or had that relationship not really had a chance to get going?
Well, where I first met Barry was my first go around with Ole and Bourne as a partner. When Bourne got fired, they had just brought Barry in. They had just brought Rick Rude in, and we did some 6-mans. The three of us, it was actually Rude and the Road Warriors against Barry, myself, and Chief Joe Lightfoot. There's a name from the past. We did some 6-mans for about 10 days with the Road Warriors and Rick Rude. So that's where I first met Barry. Then I went to Pensacola and we didn't see each other. Barry went to Bill Watts, I believe, and spent that part of his career. And then he had came to Charlotte to be partners with Ivan, and he got there ahead of me. And when I got there, I already knew Barry, and we picked up our friendship right there and became very, very good friends over the years.
Billy Jack Haynes, he's the other tag team partner here against you and Ole. He's quite the character. Have you seen some of his stuff in recent years where he's cutting promos and ranting and raving, and it's a little out there in recent years?
No, sir, I haven't.
Was he a little out there back in '86?
People said that. I never saw it. Him and Wahoo, he added a dimension of a lot more movement in the match. The guy had a hell of a body at the time we were working with him. He looked incredible, had an incredible look. And he had an incredible run, I think, for Don Owens out in Portland was his claim to fame. Plus he went to the WWF and had some success. Main thing is he had that look, man. And I think he was probably a badass. He was one of those guys that you probably didn't want to mess with back in the day. Who knows? But he looked incredible. We only worked with him a few times, not that many. But he seemed to blend into that mix. And you add Ole in there. That was a pretty solid tag match. And that's really all I remember from it. And the stuff as of late, I'm unaware of.
Next up, Superstar Billy Graham and the Barbarian in a $10,000 arm wrestling match. And then of course the actual wrestling match. Graham's going to win, but then Paul Jones nails him in the face with his cane. And then, of course, Graham and Barbarian have to wrestle in an actual match. The finish would see Barbarian go up top for the diving headbutt, but Graham moves out of the way and he hooks on the bear hug. Paul Jones jumps in, hits Graham with his cane, and there's your DQ finish. So Graham wins both the arm wrestling match and the actual wrestling match, the wrestling portion by DQ. Billy Graham here in Jim Crockett Promotions. He's, obviously a big time star for Vince McMahon's WWF. But now here he is trying to reinvent himself for Jim Crockett Promotions. You got any good Billy Graham stories you can share with us?
No, just, at that time he had tried to morph over. He had shaved his head and had on karate pants and still had some incredible arms, but the body was not what it had been for WWF. Still looked good, had a good look, good biceps, good triceps. He looked pretty nasty with the shaved head, but the style of wrestling, again, I go back to it was an NWA thing.
Right.
You had to shit and get it, doing a test of strength for 5 minutes, didn't get it done with our audience. You had to go out and tear it up. And that was never his style, and it fit because he looked so incredible in the WWF days. People were just mesmerized by him, and I looked at the guy, and you go, Jesus Christ, what a body. And that's what kind of guided him through the WWF. Didn't apply in NWA, and he was probably a fish out of water working for Crockett.
Well, it came off that way, as a wrestling fan, it just, it doesn't seem like it should have been. He seems like a WWF guy through and through, and his style of wrestling, as you put it, didn't exactly blend in here. And thanks to his, body probably deteriorating on him a little bit, he needed to become even more limited. So he tries this Karate Man role. And I guess that was a big deal in the mid 80s. The karate craze was huge, and Kung Fu movies were big on VHS, and he's trying something, but it just felt like a little bit of a mess.